Hi friends, welcome to Perfection IS new series of mains question answer discussion for 66th BPSC mains test series. In the previous video, we have already discussed 6 questions of the first question paper, and in this video we are going to discuss the remaining 6-7 questions to complete a set. So without wasting any time, let's get started. And if you have not seen the previous video, kindly do visit the Perfection IAS YouTube channel and see the first question paper. Now let us begin with the first question. So the question says, is economic activity and human development arise significant environmental pollution in Bihar? Discuss the prominent environmental pollution arising in Bihar and steps taken by the government. That is specifically mentioning about the cause of pollution as well as economic development. So how to maintain a synergy between pollution and economic development. Along with that, we need to also discuss the prominent environmental pollution and steps taken by the government of Bihar. So the answer will be of two prone. First, we'll have to discuss about how the growing economic development is causing pollution in Bihar and what are these problems actually and what are the steps that is taken by the government of Bihar to curb this menace. So we'll start with the beginning or introduction, that in the pursuit of higher economic and human development, there are several externalities arise leading to the potential conflict, which is obvious, and ensuring nothing but a healthy natural environment. And this is a conflict when there is a rise in the economic model. It is going to be bound to downgrade the pollution or downgrade the environment if it is not pre-planned and if it is not made sustainable. And due to this, there has been a significant environmental pollution through the high atmospheric particulate matter, and there are several other mediums which causes pollution. It may be water pollution, noise pollution, air pollution, land pollution, and nowadays there are radiations, and even though there are biomedical pollution, just in case of what we are experiencing in the case of COVID-19 and other muted diseases, other respiratory diseases, other contagious diseases, these are actually the result of pollution when these bacterial and these pathogenic organisms transfer and mutate themselves and then causing harm to the environment as well as the human society at all. So the prominent pollution in Bihar is it is a water pollution. So it's a well-developed water pollution and the ground pollution. Another use of the chemical fertilizers and the pesticides has led to the contamination of the groundwater. There is so much unpredicted use and unworthy, unjudicious use of the groundwater solution, and then is all of the land water, all of the lower channels, all the sewage channels are being allowed to flow into the rivers in small sorts without any treatment because of lack of the urban and sewage infrastructure. What is happening is the main flow of the drainage system, the urban sewage system, wastewater system is not treated, and before getting treated it is just allowed to flow into the rivers because it does not have any sea so that it can be channelized. So it is mixing into the potable water of the rivers. And one of the major regions where Ganga is polluted is the regions where these states of the allying the Ganga, the Gangetic plains and the Gangetic states, are not having proper treatment mechanism of the sewage materials as well as drainage materials, and which is causing a large amount of pollution in the water and the contamination. And that is why we are seeing in the regions of Bihar where people are having silicosis, cadmiosis type of problem. The water is filled with mercury, cadmium, and etc. A lot of iron is being attached, and it is causing a jaundice as well as other infectious, other liver problems, other bone marrow problems due to the high sedimentations of the calcium in the water. What is happening? The bone acidification and the bone eradication problem has been seen after 40 plus of the age, and that is why it is creating a lot of encephalitis problem also, and which is very much degrading for the further population of Bihar. Another is, what are the state government initiative for this? So for this, the state pollution board is monitoring the quality of water under the National River Quality Monitoring Program, and it is also maintaining to dissolve or to see what amount of dissolved oxygen is there, what is the pH, that is the acidity and the basic value of the water, conductivity, how many biochemicals are there, and then based on that the government has included a program Har Ghar Nal Ka Jal, and in the Saad Nischay program a pure drinking water solution, a pipeline through pure drinking water solution has been initiated, and it is one of the major key steps among the Sat Nischay program, which is both implemented in the part 1 as well as in the part 2. So you have to mention it. And what are the capacities? So Bihar State Pollution Control Board is regularly monitoring the water quality of the river, its tributaries, and the groundwater quality is monitored at 70 locations on a 6-monthly basis. So you can substantiate your answer with the given following schemes. Now we'll move on to the air pollution. The recent decade, the significant increase in the economic activities and especially the rise in the fossil fuels, the rise in the population is leading to the more and more vehicular transport. Due to a better infrastructure development, due to better road development, what is happening, more and more transportation and more traffic is increasing, and that is causing a lot of air pollution because the air stagnation property or the old vehicle scrappage policy is not being implemented properly. The CNG, the LPG and other electronic vehicles, battery vehicles are not being promoted. So what is happening is the old vehicles, due to the lower economic capacity of the people of Bihar or the diaspora of the Bihar, and per capita population is low, what is happening that the old technology vehicles are running the most, and these are causing not only they are less efficient, but also they are polluting more and more to the environment, which in turn is causing further downgrading in the other movements also. And similarly, Bihar has added to increase the concentration of the particulate matters in the air 1000 micrograms per cubic, and the air quality such as Patna, Muzaffarpur, Gaya is considered as very poor, and Patna is among the top 10 polluted cities in the world also, along with Kanpur. Schemes of BSPC for monitoring the air pollution. So what are these? So based on the recommendations of the Central Pollution Control Board, so CPCB, there has been prevention for control of the molestation, that is at Patna, Muzaffarpur, Gaya has been the recent Air Quality Management Committee AQMC and all that has been taken and monitored in the recent areas, and which are not being monitored. In order to reduce the emissions from the brick kilns, that is the chimney, Bihar State Pollution Control Board has directed all the brick kilns of the state to adopt and switch over to the cleaner technologies, and approximately 3000 brick kilns have been converted into a cleaner technology. A new 22 categories of the polluting industries has been now established in the master plan demarcation in the planning area of the Muzaffarpur, Gaya and other districts for prevention of air pollution in the aforesaid non-attainment cities of Bihar. That is very important. And along with that, what is happening is we are encouraging the public awareness program regularly through the advertisements in the daily newspaper, hoardings, radio jingles, nukkad natak, etc. What are the other programs? Other programs are just we have already discussed for the Jal Jeevan Haryali Mission, Bihar Cleaner Fuel Policy. Now taking about the noise pollution, so in the recent decade or recent 2 decades, noise pollution has been creating a major role, and it is one of the major reasons in creating the mental disturbance and the growth of the mental environment and the mental health of the people, especially in the urban areas, which is creating a lot more problem and lot more utterance in the coming society, especially in the time of festivals and so-called other religious meetings and other etc., which is a major effect in curbing or in creating and downgrading the mental health and the societal mental well-being of the people. And that is why what are doing by the society, what has been done by the state government is nothing but the Bihar State Pollution Control Board is monitoring at 5 different locations to formulate an action plan, especially at Patna, to control the noise pollution in the city, and by increasing the public awareness. So public awareness is being, but they are not doing, it is not very much effective measures, that there are not concrete measures that have been taken. In case of water pollution there are, but noise pollution the government has to take some necessary both executive as well as powerful actions in order to suppress the unnecessary need of sound, especially by the vehicles, and unnecessary sounds in the other function related. You have to maintain the time limit as well as the decibel limits of everything, so that we can maintain and we can have a healthier society, healthier mental being, because noise pollution is such a kind of pollution that directly interferes and directly impacts the human being other than air and water, which after some time impact. But noise pollution, the first and foremost and direct response to the human being, its mental well-being and the mental wellness in the society. Based on this, we will conclude and we will say there are some measures that have been taken by the government, but there needs to be done more and more stringent measures to be taken to curb these measures in order to get a healthier, cleaner Bihar in the coming future. The next question is, what are the major hurdles in the functioning of the targeted public distribution, that is TPDS scheme in Bihar? So we have to discuss the problem and the major hurdles, comment on the achievement with empirical data, that is we have to comment on the achievements of the government along with substantiative data and alternative available to the PDS in Bihar, that is the public distribution system. What can be the alternative? So recently we have been seeing that the UPI or UBI, it is universal basic income, such kind of schemes are being taken, which has been implemented in some of the states, in Kerala, some of the regions in Chhattisgarh, in Punjab also. So we need to discuss what is UBI and how can it be implemented. Can it become an alternative of the subsidies in coming future? That we will discuss. So what are the targeted distribution system? It started in 1997 to intensify the extensive public distribution scheme. So what is TPDS? So it is more and more extensive measure. It is basically targeted. A group of beneficiaries has been properly targeted, nominated and destined that this such group of people must be having the benefits of the public distribution scheme. But after so many years, there are certain problems, and the problems are actually that the poor do not get benefit much due to inclusion and exclusion, the error list. As we know that the poor people were not having that much of knowledge, they are illiterate people in the rural and the far remote areas are basically excluded by the local officers or the local mixed culture, local corrupt culture to use or to enumerate their methods, and to get benefit minimum they are being excluded, and due to such name errors, some minor errors, they are being excluded, and then that following taken care is not up to the mark. Second is the urban basis. Most of the TPDS is not up to the mark in the rural area, so it is very good in the urban area but has led to the rural poor exclusion. Huge diversion of grains from TPDS pointed out, nearly 54% of the being diverted for open market. So this is very severe concern. Large scale of corruption, counter clinical inventory, poor storage management, poor distribution, poor logistics, unaware of the TPDS stocks get exhausted. One of the fair price shops at times resort to violence if questioned and keep the monopoly. So yes, there is no order, lack of order, law and order is not good, proper maintaining is not good, proper rechecking, re-benefiting and re-systemating is not being happening, check and balance is not being happening, and that is why it is leading to a whole lot of chaos in the system. Similarly, the use of technology is good, but what is happening due to the lack of connectivity and the internet connectivity, the technology to connect the Aadhaar seeding of the ration cards has led to many of the people, many of the poor people who don't have knowledge, many of the areas where internet connectivity is low, their name is being excluded and they are not able to give the ration card. So that is one of the major we can say drawback of the technology linking for the verification of the purpose. Yes, it is important, but it should also be taken care that some of the people, some of the remote areas in the rural districts do not have that much connectivity which the officers sitting in a AC chamber in Delhi think to be. Now second is, what are the alternatives? So alternatives can be universal basic income that we have already discussed, and food coupons. Instead of getting the PDS, the coupon should be distributed to person and they can go to anywhere, any place in the country, anywhere, any place in the state, and they can buy out the coupon. So that will be very much easy, irrespective of transporting the grains to the different parts of the rural area and spending a lot of money in the logistics transportation. What we can do is we can directly distribute the food coupons to the people who need it, and they can take whatever food they want. So some may be interested in grains, some may be interested in oil seeds, some may be interested in other food. So based on that amount, what is needed, the food coupon should be distributed, and they should be having the power to take the food as per their time and in the region where they want it, not just in their home, because many of the people are migrants, many of the people go for work in different areas, so they must be able to get it wherever they want and whenever they want, irrespective of time and place. Similarly, yes, DBT can also be a measure that the government is currently actually running it. So it is quite similar to universal basic income, but in DBT is a more and more target based approach. Now what are the issues? So allotment and lifting of the food grain is indicator of the success. In Bihar, the PDS is 85.1%, and in urban areas it's 74.5%. So that is, outlet is increased consistently, but what is happening is the actual people, downgraded people, are not getting access. Overall, the backward and extremely backward caste is having the maximum share among all the social categories in the PDA dealership. So dealership, they have good dealership, followed by the general caste, which is 18%. And these all data you can emancipate by giving the answers. By substantiating your answers, you can write all this data, that how it is important, how it can be dealt with. Similarly, the allotment and lifting of the food grain is an important indicator of how successful is the implementation of the PDS. The percentage of lifting has always been above 95% of the total allotment. From the above data, it is clear that the National Food Security Act is well implemented throughout the state. And according to this, the state government during the lockdown has done tremendously well. This PDF and the TPDS scheme has done well, especially in the lockdown period, and thus TPDS can be refined by adopting some of the major and good features which are adopted in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, that is Aadhaar seeding, and the program which is One Nation, One Ration Card, which is already being implemented, because a lot of the people in the Bihar diaspora are kind of a migrant, and they migrate to different countries and different states, and that is why they should be able to get the ration wherever they want and whenever they want. An SMS based system, grievance additional mechanism, these all data can be used along with the implementation of the Santa Kamar Committee on the Fruit Corporation of India and its restructuring. Public awareness and grievance mechanism are of course going to be the game changer in it. Now we'll move on to the next question, that Bihar is endowed with land resources, yet agriculture system faces challenges. That is, irrespective of having a better land resources, a fertile land, good rivers and a suitable climate also, there are agriculture systems. So but the basic reason is the overpopulation. Since we are having overpopulation, the per capita increase in the crop is going to be the same. So when the population is more, anything we grow is going to be less, and we need to diversify the agriculture so that we can get maximum output from the minimum effort, both in the case of money as well as labor. To discuss the various steps taken by to boost the agriculture, so we can give this background. As a landlocked state housing is 8.6% the nation population, and the population density is very more, and the national average is 382 and we are having 1166, and that is, this tells the whole of the stories. And since there is a more population growth, anything we grow is going to be in a distress. The mounting pressure of the population, economic activities and urbanization of the land resources have resulted in the farm holdings and the fragmentation of the land holdings. So we know that the average size of land holding in Bihar is nothing but a per person is only 0.3.9 hectares. So person are having very minuscule share in the land holding, and since they are having very minuscule share in the land holding, the overall agricultural productivity is going to be very small, and that is not going to help unless it is promoted towards the community farming or collective farming or some kind of a cash crop farming or some kind of an alternative crop farming, where it is not just dependent on the food grain, rather more dependent on the marketing and food processing areas. Because the agricultural output is not going to increase that much unless we need to diversify it, and make it a more suitable cash and economic benefit, business profit making deal should be done. And so deforestation is also there, because since the population is increasing, we need to grow more and more cities. Though Bihar has the least urbanization rate, but still what is happening is new cities are being following, and it is leading to the deforestation, which is actually hindering the local climate and the temperature as well as the rainfall in specific areas. So in the northern Bihar, there is a lot of much of water that causes flood. In the southern Bihar, there is a drought-like situation, and which creating a problem, and then it is need to be done. The government has posed a ban on deforestation, but is still prevalent, and which is very different. As per the GSDP, agriculture DSDP, what is happening is the contribution of forestry and logging stood 8.2% of the agriculture GSDP in 2019. That is increased. So it is good that agriculture and GSDP has increased, especially for the food logging and wood logging. But what is happening is the unsolicited deforestation is causing a problem and leading to several problems as well. Now second is the generalized reasons. What are the generalized reasons? So there are poor policy and planning, absence of direct mechanism and welfare mechanism, declining average size of the farm holding, lack of easy credit, collapsing farm prices, fragmented supply chains, lack of mechanization, and shortage of inputs like seed facilities, etc., etc. Now what initiative has been taken by the government? So under Sat Nishchay there has been taken Har Khet Ko Pani. In Sat Nishchay 2, what has been taken, which is a part of Sat Nishchay 1 only, based on the digitized revenue records, they are being discussed and maintained the Krishi Jal app. So the Krishi Jal app ko that is being used, and Revenue and Land Reform Department has organized this to record of the what is the revenue and the land record in the mobile based application, and that is going to help in the Har Khet Ko Pani and irrigation department as well. During the survey opinion, local farmer was obtained and digitized map the village was also made available to the every panchayat level employee, and the survey work is comparatively good. Now we are making also a climate resilient agriculture program, and globally we are making certain efforts to connect all the 38 districts Rabi crop by 2020. There are two major components. One relate to the demonstration of the existing climate resilience. We need to develop such technology or such agriculture method which are resilient with the climate and resilient with the change in the climate. Along with that, the farmers fields and other also relate to the research on futuristic climate resilient agricultural technologies. Now second is Bihar Rajya Beej Nigam Limited, so which is mostly the distribution of the seeds. The main function of this is to encourage the seed production and providing high yield variety seeds to the farmers so they can progress more and more distribution, for which heads of production, processing, marketing divisions are being responsible. Along with that, Bihar Agricultural Management and Extension Training Institute BAMETI is a state level training institute which plays an important role in incorporating the new technologies, service to the agriculture sector, state-wise development, and this is how the government is implementing and trying to diversify and make agriculture more profitable so that it can support the growing population of Bihar. Along with that, we need to do more and more on food processing, agro processing, cultural processing in order to increase and to keep the load away from the traditional agriculture and to move toward organic agriculture, plantation agriculture, cash agriculture, cash crop farming, especially in the regions where there is more river in the areas of northern Bihar. We need to move toward horticulture, bee farming, vegetable farming, organic farming, fish farming, the fishiculture, pisciculture, etc. can also be included to substantiate the load from the outrunning agriculture in the coming system. Now next question is, what do you mean by robotic technology, and discuss the types and application of the robotics in different fields with examples. So this is a technical question, so we have to apply and directly define what is the robotics, the field of science and technology that deals with nothing but the design, manufacture, application of robots and using computers for their manipulation and processing. A robot is a machine that is capable of carrying out complex series of actions and that can be well defined. It is also a destined product. So what we can do is, it is a product where the destined technology and the destined method is being applied for a specific task and for a specific work to be accessed. Now different types of robots are first generation, second generation, third generation robot based on the type of technology they are being asked. So these are the considered as DDB, that is deaf, dumb and blind robots. So they do not have sense, but what we are now developing, artificial intelligence based robot which are completely, and which in the coming future what are going to do is they are going to completely replace the human mind. They are neural schema, they are neural understanding, artificial intelligence, common sense, internet of things, etc. are being very much used. Second generation robots are more intelligent and having memory power as compared to the first generation robots, and third generation are complex, having senses, just like you might have seen in the robot movie, the Chitty type of robot. So these are the examples of how they can be do and what are their implications we can see. So what are the benefits of the robotic process automation is nothing but accuracy, low technical barrier, compliance, new innovative factor, lack of manpower, increased manpower, the precision, accuracy, reliability, consistency can be obtained by this robotic process of automation. Where they can be applied, so they can be applied in the automobile manufacturing sector with a precise design and technology in order to enhance and exponentially increase the technology, electronic and electrical products, where human presence can be nullified, where human presence can be substituted because it is being very much difficult, or sometimes it is a life threatening electrical conduct and electrical working industry. So a use of artificial robots can be very much important to revolutionize the use of electric and electronic devices in the coming future. Similarly, military application, they can be used. It was very much discussed in the movie Robot 2. Health and medicine, the use of small robots, and they are called nanobots. So you might have heard about the nanobots. Nanobots are currently being used and been sent inside the human body for making various diseases, like a stent technology recently for curing the heart related disease, the blood blockage in the heart arteries. A stent technology is also kind of a robotic technology. There has been nanobots which are being used, which has been sent inside the body to diagnose the body, and these are the coming future. Especially the nanotechnology is the future of the medical generation. In order to study small artificial gene like robots can also be made and can be sent in to understand the process and to do some internal surgery as well as internal curing and healing of the body. Especially in the case of environment, nanorobots can be used to clear the oil spill, disassemble pollutants, etc. for the handling and disposal of the nuclear waste. Space exploration, they are already being used, and they can also be used for testing, trialing method, getting collection. One of the examples of our Mars Chandrayaan 2 was the Vikram rover. So unluckily or unluckily, we can say, unfortunately, we are not able to land it due to hard landing. Our connection got failed, but still we are able to reach the south pole of the Chandrama and the so-called moon. But these are the applications where the similarly Mars, the NASA has reached or landed his rover in the Mars mission. Similarly, China has also made it land, and that is why these robotic exploration can be used in the space exploration method also, along with their disaster management as well. Now, what are the challenges? So challenges, we very all know that they can only substitute the human beings. They cannot completely replace, because what will happen is they have artificial intelligence, but they don't have the so-called common sense in them. So we need to augment the robotic, but it should always maintain that there should always be a limit. There should not be complete cloning and maintaining it. Rather, we should always be skeptical about it, that human presence or the human control should only be there. And one of the most important thing is the waste management. How should we manage the waste, electronic waste, mechanical waste of these robots? So this is a major challenge. We need to make a sustainable, climate friendly as well as society friendly robotic system, so that the robots cannot get so much acquainted that someday they can acquaint the human life and they may completely replace the humans. No, they should be doing in a substantiative. They should substitute it. They should augment the human beings, not rather taking away from it. Next question is, what is agricultural biotechnology and how are the risks and benefits associated with it? So it is basically asking about the biotechnology used in agriculture, and so we will use the concept of BT cotton, BT brinjal, etc. in it, and how they are going to be useful. What are the global scenario? BT mustard, what are the global scenario, why it is being challenged in India? We will discuss this. So the Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, defines biotechnology as any technical application that uses biological system, living organisms or derivatives to make modify products of a specific use is known as biotechnology, especially in the agricultural field. Now we should discuss about biotechnology is being made for many uses. So similarly for producers, so we are using BT brinjal, BT cotton, BT mustard. Why? So bacterial thuringiensis, so kind of a, we are using it a variant which is resistant to kind of bacteria, kind of pest, kind of pesticides, bollworm, gaussworm. So they are being genetically modified. Due to this, they are not being acted upon, or the action of these bacteria etc. is not being acted upon or is not being doing harm to this kind of BT cotton, BT brinjal, BT mustard or GM mustard, etc. Similarly, by using the genetical method, their nutrition and supplementation can be increased, their variety can be increased, their productivity can be increased by creating by mixturing the high yield varieties, by creating an artificial hybrid variety through its seeds, and then later on making and increasing more and more productivity. Also, their water retention capability can also be increased so that the production will increase to a rapid fire level. So this was for the producers. For consumers, this biotechnology can be used in increasing the shelf life. Okay, their nutrient value can increase the possible intake of the nutrients in the human body, possible disease free human body, possible increase in the immunity. For researchers, so it helps in understanding the basic biology of the living. For environment, it can be make a proper herbicide, proper HT mustard, which is helpful for the environment, which also maintains the salinity, which also maintains the fertility of the soil, which maintains the natural cycle, which balances the nitrogen cycle, chemical cycle, carbon cycle, oxygen cycle in the coming field and coming area. And that is why, what are the areas of biotechnology that we have discussed? The area of biotechnologies are we are discussing in gold, we are discussing in green, and blue is aquatic and coastal. In yellow, food and biotechnology. Okay, similarly in orange is dark desert biotechnology, dark is bioterrorism and bioware. And the cause of bioterrorism, there have been certain instances that the Chinese have promulgated as a bioweapon, that is COVID-19 was a Chinese bioweapon, though there are circumstances, but it can be still be used as an example. Purple is the patents, publication, investment. White is the industrial biotechnology. Gold is nothing but the information and the nanobiotechnology. And health, medical diagnosis is red. So there are different color coding areas of the biotechnology which can be used for the further assistance of human life, as well as maintaining sustainable development in order to protect and go in harmony with nature, as well as development in the coming area. So what are the concerns? So concerns, we know that if we are genetically modifying the crops or the regions or the plants, sometimes may come that these modification may become mutant and they might harm the population, they might diverse the productivity, they might become resistant. Some of the pests or the worms or the sticks or the herbicides may become, after fighting these genetic, may become what we call is resistance. So these pests and these different worms, these this kind of a chemical fertilizer, this kind of a weeds, sometimes they may become mutant and they may become resistant, and then after when they become resistant to these, it will be difficult to carve out this pest, these weeds from the agriculture. Similarly, what will happen is the seeds, many of the farmers are having problem that the seeds of this biotechnology problem, bioproducts like BT cotton, BT brinjal will not be able to regrow, and then many of the farmers of the poor country will have to be dependent upon these biotechnology technical giant companies to get seeds from them. And in order to get seeds from them, they will have a kind of a neo biocolonialism. So many of the big scientific company will colonize the farmers. Why? Because the seeds of this product will not be able to regerminate, and due to this there may be a difficulty and there may be a stagnation in the quality of the land where these bioproducts have been produced. And what will happen is, what is the fear of the scientists, that these land, once a kind of a bacterially, a kind of a biotechnically modified or genetically modified product is being used in a particular land, what will happen is that particular land will only be supporting that particular genetically modified crop and will not support any other crop, and this may lead to a stagnation in the agriculture. And then those technical giants like Monsanto and other countries will make the farmers do whatever they want, because that particular field will not grow anything apart from that genetically modified crop, and the seeds will be sent by this company, and now they will send the seeds as per their demand. So this is a very basic concern. It may also sometimes create a cancerous cell. More and more genetic modified fruits and seeds, if they intake, they might cause mutant and cancerous cell, a cancer development in the body and organ failure. These are being the concerns. Now what are the conclusion? The conclusion is technology is good, biotechnology is also good, but there should be a constant research based mechanism, constant study in order to get a potential to revolutionize the agriculture, but appropriate safeguards should also be maintained, and the view is consonant with the genetic engineering appraisal committee. Also there has been a parliamentary committee, there has been a CDEC, there has been an ICAR, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, will have to continuously reevaluate, and the purpose of this genetically modified crop biotechnologically modified diversity field practices in order to maintain and outsource the area of the interest of the farmers. Now moving on to the next question is, Bihar is prone to various natural disasters. Discuss the disaster management measures taken so far. So talking of disasters, so two of the many common disasters, one is the flood, and it is mostly in the northern area of Bihar, and another is the drought, which is in the southern area. Apart from these natural floods, there are areas of earthquake, now some health hazards like encephalitis, okay, acute encephalitis, AES disease, then especially a Muzaffarpur virus disease. So these are the health benefits. We'll take it one by one. So in an earthquake, so since we are bordering to Nepal, and Nepal, we know that is lying on the fault line and high seismic zone. So in the outriggen area of Bihar, it is prone to earthquake, and 15.2% of area Bihar in fifth zone, which in terms of life prosperity structure, etc., and that is not good because it is a vulnerable area and it is being prone to this area. Since urbanization is not that much in Bihar, but what happened is, since becomes a plain land, and the earthquake vibrations can easily flow out to whole of the states unless it reaches the down south, and it may create a heavy devastation if so the earthquake occurs, irrespective of having small urbanization, but that two important cities will go down and will create a huge chaos because the population density in Bihar is very much high, and even a small amount of crack, even a small vector, a small Richter scale disturbance will be fatal if it reaches to the mainland of the Bihar area. Similarly, floods, we have already discussed. North Bihar is continuously prone with floods, and all of the districts, nearly 15 districts out of 38 is in flood prone region. And similarly, the South Bihar is drought prone regions. We already know the southern Bihar is not having that much. So there is a twice every year we will seeing a flood in the northern Bihar and drought in the southern Bihar. In the central Bihar, there is a mixed culture, and that is why there is irregular in the agricultural cyclical production. Fire, what is happening during the summer season? Since most of the house are the kacha house and they are prone to fire, you might have seen every summer, and then there is a wheat farming going on, and due to high rise in this, lots of acres of land get prone, wheat farming loan get prone to the fire, and it causes in the rural areas. And then there is a lot of papers are filled with news of fires, rural fires in the summer season because of this kacha house and the proper fire productive combustible materials used in the construction of homes like bamboo, wood, puaras, shikharas, etc. in making the rural home. High velocity wind, because it is lying in the fault zone and in the Kal Baisakhi Loo region, which also creates a health hazard. Measures taken by the government is disaster management of Bihar has been done extremely job. They have been assessing the areas. Okay, northern Bihar, some of the droughts and some of the rivers check dams are being managing, but since there are so much of rivers and so much of amount of water, it is kind of an impossible to manage it. What happens, the Farakka dam, you might have already heard, is every time it causes the gorge, it causes the salination, it causes the saline water of the river to fill up, and that causes flood flow in the whole of the Bihar. And there has been certain every time a request to open the gates of the Farakka barrage in order the Ganga should flow and take all the sediments, all the gorge, which is creating a horizontal flow of the river of Bihar. So this has been studied, maintained, and but still it is not up to the mark, because recently 2 years because a flood in Patna was devastating, and in that case government works are doing their works, but they are not up to the mark, so you can very well criticize it. The 6 institutions which are doing these works are the BSIDM, GDMA, ECOS, etc., and they are making a disaster profile of Bihar State Disaster Management Plan. The other stakeholders, they are also including it. But what we need to do is we need to develop such a mechanism that the water from the northern area of Bihar should be brought down to the southern area of Bihar and to channelize this water. And similarly, the flood and drought, two problems can be equally managed. And just like taking example from Japan, the earthquake resistance building, especially the government buildings, should be developed so that the earthquake, drought and flood, the most important 3 disasters, can be easily handled. Now based on that, there has been a Sankalp Kendra, a community-based disaster management center, which was in especially for the Ganga flood control mission. There is need to continuously churning the drainage line, the sewage line before the water management, the municipality and the Nagarpalika are going to work it, but what is happening is only the works have been doing on the paper, nothing is actually implementing, and that is why we are able to see a high flood just 2 or 3 years back in all of the Patna. And that was not a natural flood, that was a man-made flood because of the choking of these all sewage plants. There was a complete disaster in the urban region of Patna, and they are suggesting measures. So what are the suggesting measures? The facilitating the benefits of general insurance. So we should increase the crop insurance because due to the flood and drought and earthquake and separately the rural fires. So crop insurance should be increased, and it should also include the livestock. This crop insurance must be including the livestock, putting the people in the PRI, Panchayati Raj institutions to develop more and more climate friendly, environment friendly and hazard system prone, develop study and community awareness. Along with that, we need to implement the Sendai framework in all these disaster management, providing support, creating a mechanism, communication mechanism, relief mechanism, taking cue from the states like Odisha and Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, which deal continuously with floods, droughts and winds, high winds velocity, typhoons, tornadoes, cyclones. So their experience can be shared upon and should also be applied. So this you can conclude it. Now moving to the last question is about hydrogen fuel. What is hydrogen fuel? How far it is helpful in sustainable development and clean green area? So hydrogen fuel is nothing but it is a green or a non-zero emission fuel burned with high oxygen, which gives H2O, a pure water, as a byproduct. So it is being used in fuel cells, and hydrogen energy is going to be the revolutionizing energy, and a lot of research is currently going on. So it is not a primary source of energy rather than a carrier of energy. Water can be electrolyzed in the reverse fuel cell, and so hydrogen fuel cell is completely efficient, as well as the byproduct is pure water. So it is very much easily available also, and is easily available, and its byproduct is also, so it is environment friendly as well as it is eco-friendly. The only problem is the concentrating and storing that energy in the fuel cell. The materials required to store that energy is being costly, and more research and development is needs to do in order to make it more and more wealthy and efficient. So abundant time, it is almost 90%. So most whole of the world, whole of the universe is filled with these hydrogen. Water is the most abundant compound of hydrogen. So it can be created by splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen. So by electrolysis of water, what is happening is we are creating hydrogen and water, and that hydrogen is again used the fuel, and the byproduct is only water also. So it's kind of a water cycle also. Hydrogen can be produced a number of sources by thermal, wind, solar, CNG, LNG, etc. But the most feasible source of hydrogen is, which is available, the surplus, is biomass. So the hydrogen generated from biomass is the most feasible phase, and India is having a huge biomass reserve. Similarly, we are having livestock dung, cow dung, agricultural, forest residents, and similarly by electrolyting process, hydrogen can be produced. Some 40% excess electricity available through the renewable sources such as wind, water, solar and cool thermal. So the energy can be generated 40% more than of hydrogen than that of these again areas. Now working on hydrogen fuel. So hydrogen electrical vehicle is essentially in the hybrid electric fuel cell. So companies or many of the research development are working on a fuel cell to store the energy and to store the hydrogen and do a electrochemical reaction whenever the energy is needed. That is a potent energy cell, a potent fuel cell with hydrogen as a reactor, and making it to react an electrochemical reaction to gain the energy. And that is why a lot of research has been going on, and hydrogen as well as the advanced battery system is going on. The hydrogen is stored in the purse form in high pressure tank and is sent to a fuel cell, where it combined with the oxygen, resulting in the production of H2O and electricity, and the electricity produced is directly used to drive the vehicles. Now this is how the hydrogen fuel cell is used. Okay, so how they are being used. They have been pressurized tanks and sent to the fuel cell. When it combines with oxygen, so there is a reverse process. Giving H2O electrolysis gives hydrogen and oxygen, but in the same reverse process, what happened is the H2O is generated from and hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen is passed through a tank with oxygen, which alternatively increases or gives electricity as well as water. So it is a kind of a reverse process. The same alternate or opposite heat cycle that is being used in the refrigeration is also being used in the opposite Carnot cycle in the hydrogen cell energy and development. So hydrogen fuel is a sustainable development. We know that how it is going to be used. So it is used as due to its availability. Since it is abundantly available, so it is more and more sustainable. Similarly, as per the Sustainable Goal Development 7, affordable energy, and Goal Development 30, that is climate reaction, we need to more and more access for this. And in order to fulfill the Goal 13 and Goal 17, hydrogen is going to be a landmark in it. How it is going to be landmark? Because it is easily available. It serves the fuel for internal combustion engine, and it is pollution free also, it is economic also, and that is why it can be used. And if a technology is made for purely storing hydrogen, it will be very much useful. Now what are the challenges? Just like other fuel energies, similarly fossil fuels, hydrogen does not occur in the deposit and cannot be produced by using chemical reaction. So it is very difficult. So the reaction we are using is actually difficult in comparison to the fossil fuel energy, and so storing and research and development is need to be done more and more aggressively in order to make hydrogen fuel possible. It is expensive to produce, and vehicles based on hydrogen fuels are more and more expensive because currently the vehicles are not hydrogen fuel based vehicles. So in order to make hydrogen fuel vehicles are actually going to be costly, and thus we need to invest more and more in this technology so that there will be more hydrogen based vehicles and their price will certainly drop. And when there is going to be more and more hydrogen based reactors, what is going to be there, that more and more hydrogen fuel cell will be in demand, and this will downgrade their technology. The other issues in hydrogen technology or fuel cell technology is, first is its storage. Why? Because it is inflammable, and for the storage hydrogen requires high pressure tanks, so we need more and more tanks. Just opposite in the case of fossil fuel, that they can easily be stored, hydrogen cannot be easily stored, and it needs a high pressurized tanks, and safety is going to be a major issue. Similarly, there are lack of infrastructure, refueling, maintaining fuel cell vehicles, and thus there is some tactical challenges we need to answer them. The technology is very good, it is efficient, it is environment friendly. What we need to do is more and more research and development to make it feasible. So this was all for the paper. We'll see you in the next video with another paper. Keep like and sharing with the friends and keep supporting it. Thank you. Have a nice day.